up, guys? My name is Zbricks, and welcome back to the Zbricks Show Season 2. My name is Zach, I'll be your host, and the Zbricks Show is a show where I interview different members of the online LEGO community, whether it's the YouTube or Instagram or other social media platforms. Today I'm going to be talking to TitaniumJay52. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself and your YouTube channel?
Absolutely. Thanks for the introduction. I don't upload much on my YouTube channel, but when I do upload, it usually is Ninjago stuff or mocks. It can also be Star Wars as well. I also have an Instagram in which I do similar stuff, Ninjago, Star Wars, LEGO related posts, really. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. So, first we're just going to start with a few small, easy starter questions. So, first is, do you remember when you started building with LEGO, and what were some of your first sets?
So, I had two first sets, because I got them both for Christmas, and they were when I was 6 years old. One was a bin, which I actually have down on my floor even now. It's just a bin of parts, had some little builds that you could make in it, some instructions. And the other was an ambulance from 2006. I believe the set number was 7890.
Awesome.
And I received that set from my uncle. Really liked that. It ended up getting dismantled. Parts are lost to my collection, but I rebought it recently. And it sits on my shelf. And yeah, it took me a little while to get into LEGO at first. I didn't do too much with it for the first couple of years, but I got into it a bit with Space Police, and then a lot more with Ninjago.
Yeah. I've said this in most of my episodes, but my first set was I think it's the 2009 police helicopter. It's actually the first, my first set was the exact same as Jin Blade's first set. Funny enough. But, the first Legos I ever received were just a Tupperware of hand-me-downs from a neighbor down the street. But, so that's really awesome that you went back and repurchased that old set. At some point, I need to go and rebuy the police helicopter and stuff, because mine was dismantled long ago. But, that's really awesome that you've gone out and repurchased that. So, now, do you remember when you started your YouTube channel, and who or what really inspired you to do that?
I started my YouTube channel in, I think, somewhere around late summer, early fall of 2018, I want to say. And I don't exactly remember what prompted me to do it. I know I had the account for a couple months before. I didn't upload anything until a few months after creating it. But it was just something I wanted to try out, something I wanted to experiment with. And there was a particular thing. A friend of mine, he had a mock contest, and that's ultimately what motivated me to upload my first video. And then the videos just kept going from there. And I did a few streams back in the day, too, as well. Yeah.
That's awesome. So did you just originally create your YouTube account for, like, the purposes of having a YouTube account, or were you really starting it with the intent of having LEGO videos posted?
I think I wanted to do something with videos eventually. I was just nervous, I guess, really. But I also wanted to create the YouTube account to comment and interact with other channels and other members of the community.
Awesome. Yeah, it is a little bit, just a little bit big to see all these huge LEGO YouTubers out there when you first start out and you're like, oh, I only have X number of subscribers, and they have several thousand, or, I mean, with some it's like 100,000. But I think that it's not all about subscribers in a place where a lot of time it's just about the online community interactions.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I found that I was more interested in the community than I was in subscribers. I mean, I liked hitting some smaller subscriber goals, example was 52 because that's in my name. Another was 100. But subscribers were never a huge importance to me. I more just wanted to focus on like meeting people and having a community.
That's awesome. That's basically what the whole point of this podcast is for not only for me to interact with the community, but it's for people that view my videos, people of the community to listen to these interviews and say they didn't know a lot about a specific person. Well, maybe they can go watch one of these and they can learn about this person's Lego journey. And I think it's a really fun idea, and I've really enjoyed meeting the people I have. So that's been pretty great. But anyways, so obviously I know that Ninjago is one of your favorite themes, but do you have any other big favorite themes or themes that you buy a lot of Lego in?
Well, the first one, Space Police, the third iteration of Space Police, is a theme that I'm big into. I don't really buy too much of it because it was only out for a couple of years, and there's only about 14, 15 sets out there, and I've owned most of them at one point or another in my life. But that was a theme that I really liked. It was just, I bought one set one day, then I bought another, and I gradually just started getting more and more of them, and I really liked the theme. And I really liked it. I did a lot of I was younger, so I played with them a lot, did a lot of little stories, and found it to be really fun and entertaining.
So
I was so disappointed when I tried to go into the Space Police website and it popped up Alien Conquest.
Oh, yeah.
What a day.
Alien Conquest was not the greatest theme. I don't think it sold the best either.
It was okay. I bought a few sets. I didn't like it because when I was younger, I viewed it as, oh, it killed Space Police.
Yeah. I see that. It is, I mean, I've seen some of my favorite themes come and go. I'm glad Ninjago hasn't. But, I mean, Power Miners was kind of like, I suppose, how Space Police 3 was to you. Where it was kind of like, that was the theme that really got me into Lego. Because, I mean, I really started building, I don't know, let's see, probably when I was about, I mean, when did Power Miners come out, 2009?
Yeah.
It must have been around the Space Police, too, because or Space Police 3 as well, because I remember some of my first sets being the Power Miner sets and the Space Police sets. My first set I purchased with my own money that I had earned was the Granite Grinder from Power Miners. And I remember that Christmas I also got some of the little mech sets, and I got the one of my favorite sets of all time, which I need to repurchase, which is the, I think it's called Brick Daddy's Lunar Limo.
Yes, that is a great set.
It's an amazing set. That's an amazing set. Yeah, I really wish I hadn't taken that apart, and I'm sure it goes for quite a bit online. But easily my favorite Space Police set is the Lunar Limo. So I guess even though you had the ambulance and the brick box back in the day, I guess Space Police was the theme that really got you interested in Lego?
Yeah, I just ended up getting a set one day. I don't even know how, and then I got another, and I just got attracted to the theme because it was interesting.
Yeah, Space Police 3 really was a very unique theme. I think it was kind of like Star Wars in the sense it's a bunch of spaceships, but it was so unique in the way things were presented, in the character design. I mean, I remember the characters were, the little minifigures for the aliens was probably one of my favorite things about the series.
Yeah. First four-armed minifig as well.
Yeah, the green one. I can't remember his name, though.
Frenzy was his name.
Frenzy.
He's the only one that I bought online separately. That's one of the only sets that I didn't get.
Yeah. I remember getting that set, and I thought that was so crazy that there's a four-armed minifigure. I mean, little did I know that 2 years later, we'd be getting Lord Garmadon, Well, actually, that would be 3 years later because that'd be 2012. But
Yeah.
so after Space Police, was it really Ninjago that you got interested in next, or was there anything other in there?
It was pretty much Ninjago. I remember for my 11th birthday, my friend bought me 3 Lego sets. One of them was the Skull motorbike, and I just went straight into it. I didn't get a huge amount of Ninjago the first couple of years. I mainly focused on the spinners because those were cheap.
Oh yeah, those were cool too.
And then in 2013, when the final Battle Wave came out, I managed to get all of those sets, which wasn't really difficult, but I still managed to do it.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's a pretty great wave. Yeah. I kind of went through a what I called a Ninjago Dark Age. It's I remember for the 2011 wave, I got the Skull motorbike, and I got the I think there were 2 other sets. One of them was like a small $10 set that had like a bamboos that go woo and they fly out.
That was Ninja Ambush.
Ninja Ambush.
I got as well.
Yeah, that's a cool set. Fun little action feature. But I got that and some other skull vehicle, some little cheap skull vehicle. But
could that be the Knuckles ATV?
I don't think so, because I don't think I had that.
Maybe it was the Turbo Shredder, but
I don't remember. I honestly have no clue.
Maybe it was a polybag.
It may have been a polybag.
Yeah, the helicopter.
Yeah.
Chopper polybag.
That sounds right. Because Turbo Shredder's on my wanted list right now, so I know I don't have the Turbo Shredder. But, yeah, I was pretty interested in the spinners, too, because they were cheap, and, like, I got paid for, different activities around the house and stuff, so if I had some money, I'd go to Walmart or Target with my parents and buy some spinners and stuff. I remember being super excited about those, and I still have a few, so they're fun to play with from time to time.
I have them all.
Oh, wow. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it took me a long time. The first 2 spinners I ever bought were Cold DX and Whiplash, and that was like late 2011, early 2012. And from that point on, I slowly collected the entirety of the spinners. And my last one, I think very poetically, was Lloyd ZX.
That's awesome.
Who I purchased in 2017 at some point.
You saying those 2 spinners were the first ones you got reminds me of what the other set was from 2011. My first Ninjago set of all time is the Jay and someone else Spinjitzu starter set. That was the other one I got. Frackjaw. Yep.
Yeah.
It was that set. I remember I had my neighbor come over, and we had no idea how the card game worked, but we played around with the spinners and stuff for hours, like every day. I think that's probably what really got me into Ninjago, was just playing around with the spinners. I still put them on my desk and spin them from time to time while I'm working on Lego stuff. And I get a few here and then from the local resale store. They don't usually come with the figures, but I like collecting them and just messing around with them. So that's pretty awesome. So oh, you go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say the spinners were great. I loved playing with them as a kid, and it's probably what kept me into Ninjago for a little while.
Yeah, they were pretty awesome. I collected the 2011 stuff I talked about, and then for 2012, I got I didn't get much because I really only got Lego for Christmas and for my birthday, and I think I probably only got like 2 or 3 sets for Christmas or my birthday like a year, so I didn't get many Ninjago sets. But I remember very vividly getting the Ultrasonic Raider as my first like big Ninjago set, and
it's a good one.
It's a amazing set, and I love the little helicopter that split off, and I remember Pythor came in that, and that was really big to me because I was like the only one in my friend group that had the Pythor minifigure, but it was pretty awesome to have that as basically, I think, my first big Ninjago set. So
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
My first big Ninjago set was the Temple of Light.
That's a really good one.
Yeah, I recently rebuilt that one out of my collection.
Doesn't that come with the Overlord Garmadon?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really wish they would have come up with a molded head for that instead of just the mask. Yeah. But I think they will for 10th anniversary.
Perhaps.
I'm thinking. I guess we can get into that later. I think that'd be a fun subject to talk about. But those early Ninjago waves were so great, and it's so much fun looking back on them and seeing how far Ninjago has come, but then also realizing just how good of a wave that was for that time. So yeah,
lots of good sets, lots of good figs.
Yeah, that's one thing that really impresses me about
2011, 2012.
Yeah, that's one thing that really impressed me about Ninjago, especially in the 2012 waves, is all of those snake molds that they released. I mean, Ninjago gets so many new molds every year, and it's amazing the amount of time and money that LEGO invested into that theme that they weren't even sure if it'd be a hit or not. So, I mean, it's pretty great to see that much really awesome stuff go into that theme. And I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah, so 2013 wasn't a huge wave for Ninjago, only 6 sets, which enabled me to look for other things, which led me to Star Wars. I was kind of getting into Star Wars a little bit at the time, picked up a set here and there, and I ended up coming into it at the right time because summer 2013 was the wave of Episode 2 sets.
Those were good
really
sets.
Good wave. And I mean, I'd gotten Star Wars sets here and there in a couple years prior, but this was like the big wave for me. And that kind of continued in 2014. 2014 is one of my favorite years for Ninjago because Rebooted is one of my favorite seasons of all time. But again, there weren't a huge amount of sets to collect.
No, there really weren't.
10. So allowed me to get a lot of Star Wars stuff that year as well.
Yeah.
What?
Remind me of some of the sets that came out in those years for
Star
Wars.
For 2013, there was probably Gunship, ATTE.
Oh, those were good sets.
There's a Dooku, I forget what it was called, Duel and Geonosis with Yoda and Dooku.
Was that the one with the platform, the big gray platform? I had that set. That's a cool set. You got Poggle the Lesser in that set.
Oh yeah, his head wore down. The plastic in his head.
That's a cool figure, though.
Yeah. And then 2014 had a lot of Episode 3 sets. Some Kashyyyk, some Battle of Coruscant in space. So, again, a lot of good sets that I really liked.
Yeah.
And I don't collect Star Wars as frequently as I do Ninjago. But it's still pretty good. I predominantly collect from the prequels because that's my favorite era, mainly the Clone Wars. So that's what I tend to stick with, although I will buy other Star Wars related things from time to time.
Yeah.
But when in 2015 Ninjago came back with 2 really large and really good waves, so I fell back to collecting all of that.
I believe those were Tournament of Elements and Possessed, right? Or Possession?
Yeah, Possession.
Those were amazing waves.
Yeah, and I'd done it with Final Battle. I'd done it with Rebooted. I collected all the sets from the wave, so I kind of fell into that with the next several years of Ninjago collecting. I didn't get all from Possession right away. I ended up buying the Master Wu Dragon several years later. But other than that, I was collecting just about every set.
Wow. See, that was still in my Ninjago Dark Age. I was more interested in Chima at the time, so I went out and purchased a bunch of Chima stuff. and I kind of just ignored the Ninjago sets up until season 6, which was the first. I mean, a lot of people consider Possession to be one of the best seasons, if not their favorite season. And while I do like Possession, I think Skybound was the first season that really caught my attention more than any of the other waves. I think, one, just the set design. I kind of like that steampunky aesthetic. But then again, I also shipped Jaya, so that was probably another reason why I like Skybound a lot. So, I think that Skybound, although it's not a lot of people's favorite season, it's probably my favorite season, and I think some of those sets were just really great. I love the Misfortune's Keep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I personally wasn't a huge fan of that set just because it's kind of small and a little bit strange, and there's a few things that they could have done to make it a bit better.
Yeah.
And I ultimately ended up taking it apart, although with the intention of eventually rebuilding it and upgrading it.
Yeah. See, what I'm hoping is that Legacy continues through Season 6, and they remake a Misfortune's Keep that's maybe twice the size.
Yeah, that'd be great to have. I think, given a year or two, we could potentially see Legacy sets based on Season 6.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm personally thinking Legacy will go through the Ninjago movie.
Yeah, I think that's as far up as it will go, at least for the time being.
Yeah. But, yeah, I think that, of course the next Legacy wave's probably going to be Tournament of Elements, maybe one more rebooted set.
Yeah. I think we're going to get at least one more rebooted set in addition to Borg's Tower. I think Borg's Tower is a very good possibility.
Yeah.
But Borg Tower is more than just rebooted. It ties into a lot of the seasons of Ninjago.
Yeah.
So it makes sense for them to finally make it.
I think that's one of the sets we'll get next year for 10-year anniversary. Yeah. I'm thinking for next year, based on what I've seen and just... I'm thinking they're going to make a set from each season up until Season 7 that we haven't gotten yet in Lego form. Is what I'm thinking. And then Season 14 will be in the latter half of the year. So, that's personally what I think is going to happen. But I think Borg Tower will definitely happen.
Do the same things they've always done, where they do the regular wave of sets and then also put in like a few Legacy, or in this case 10th anniversary sets. Since it's the 10th anniversary, they might add in a few extra sets.
Yeah, that's true.
Normal because it's the 10th anniversary.
Yeah. I'm thinking that it really depends if the Harry Potter CMF series releases this December, like this Christmas time, like the end of this year or the beginning of next year. Because if it releases the end of this year, I think we have a possibility of getting a CMF series next year for Ninjago. But I feel like if it doesn't happen next year, we'll never get one. So I think that's a good possibility as well, though. So, I mean, unless they throw in the characters that people have been begging for 10 years into sets. So
maybe they'll do a people pack, except it's Ninjago.
That would be cool. They could have like the titanium ninja statue and all these other different things around that are Ninjago City. That'd be cool.
Yeah. It'd actually be a really good idea, and it'd probably be cheaper than a CMF.
That's true. You could get like
just throw in a bunch of
10 characters.
Ninjago figs. I mean, most of the figs that the fans want don't require new molds.
Yeah.
It'd be more just new printing. And I'm sure Lego would find a way to be able to do something like that.
I'm sure they could. I mean, they did one for, didn't they do a licensed people pack? I feel like they did.
I'm not sure.
It was, I'd have to think about it. It was, can't think of what it was for, but I feel like they've done a sort of licensed people pack. because they released a few last year, and I'm fairly certain one of them was.
One of them might have been space related last year.
I know.
I don't know.
Maybe I'm thinking of the gamers market or something like that. Maybe if they released something like that next year that had a bunch of characters in it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that's what I'm thinking of as a people pack. Because it's the price of one and it came with 10 figures. So, it's probably what was on my mind. But, are there any other sets for next year you're hoping for?
I kind of want to see a Legacy Tread Assault, especially after building the original 2012 version recently on the 72-hour community stream.
Definitely.
I think that would be really cool. Another one I'd love to see is the Ninja Copter in Legacy form. I think that could end up being a really good set.
I'm kind of hoping, as far as Legacy goes, since we'll probably get at least a few sets from the different seasons, I think the ones I'm hoping for the most would be the Rotojet, for one. And if they go back and do a Season 3 set, I'd really like to see the... even though they already put the Golden Master in a set for Season 3, I'd like to see the big Walker, maybe like a $30 or $40 set of just an enormous Walker for him would be pretty cool. Yeah. It could come with like a Sacrifice Zane and stuff. I think that would be an amazing set. But I heard that, based on the rumors I've heard, that was going to come in the Borg Tower set. So
that'd be interesting, yeah.
Yeah. I'm thinking... Because I heard that there's going to be the Borg Tower. It would come with the 6 Ninja, Borg, Pixel, Pythor, the Golden Master, Wu, and Garmadon. But I don't know if that's true. So, just have to see.
Yeah, I think something else I'd like to see from Legacy, or maybe just 10th anniversary, is them making some villain vehicles again.
Yeah.
That's one thing I've noticed from Legacy, is that they don't do a lot of focus on the villains.
Definitely. I want to see a Rattlecopter as well. Yeah.
Ooh, that'd be good. I think there's a good chance that for one of the seasons coming in 2021, there'll be some past villains returning.
You know, I'm starting to think that too.
Yeah. And that'd be a way they could bring back some older villain vehicles and also tie in some of the Legacy stuff, 10th anniversary stuff, while simultaneously producing a new season for the newer fans.
Yeah. If we're going to get old villains back, there are a few specifically that I've thought could have their own season. Primarily Klaus. I think that Klaus would be a great... I mean, spoilers for Prime Empire right now, so if you haven't watched Prime Empire yet, just skip over the next, 20 seconds. But I really loved how they brought the mechanic in as, a primary antagonist. I mean...
It was nice to see him,
It was really great to see
he used to.
such a minor character in the past have such a major role in a season. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
That was easily one of the reasons I love that season.
Yeah, I liked that he wasn't the main villain, but he still had a main role in the season and affected other events more than just being a one-off character for one episode.
Yeah.
Like he has in previous appearances.
Yeah. So if we're going to get old villains back, obviously I would like Klaus back, but are there any villains that you would like to return that maybe had a minor role like the mechanic?
I think because in the Dark Island trilogy, Ninjago books, which is canon, we last see Klaus trapped in the underworld surrounded by the skeletons. Now, Klaus is powerful, so no doubt he took control of that army.
Yeah.
So something I would like to see if Klaus were to return is the skeletons to return with him as his army.
Yes.
I'd also want to see Pythor return, just because he was such a major player in the earlier seasons, and he just kind of disappeared. I'd like to see, maybe he's been off gathering an army of his own,
Something tells me
Or
they're going to bring him
what
back for the
behind the
10-year
scenes?
anniversary. I mean, Pythor is undoubtedly one of the best villains in Ninjago history.
Yeah.
And I think that if they're going to bring back one of the best villains of all time, it's going to be next year. I mean, next year is all about anniversary. So we'll undoubtedly have an old villain back. It's just a big question of who it is. I don't think it'll be Chen. I don't think it'll be Nauticon. I don't think it'll be Moro. But basically, almost any other villains from the first 7 seasons, I can see coming back. Maybe not the Time Twins, but because, I mean, did they really die, or were they just lost in time for eternity?
They were lost in time. We don't know if being exposed to all that time energy for so long killed them, or if they just fell out somewhere in the time stream.
Because, I mean, Wu survived
it's open-ended.
Wu survived, and the question remains that if Wu survives that fate, which seems like it would kill you, then could the Time Twins not survive?
Well, Wu also survived being eaten by the Great Devourer, and he escaped unscathed. So
that's
he's
absolutely
got
true.
the Oni and dragon blood running through his veins. Probably gives him a genetic advantage.
Yeah. I guess that does make sense. I hadn't really thought about it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think ultimately we could see perhaps Pythor and Klaus working to bring the Overlord back.
You know,
because
I could see that too.
I think it's possible.
I think that what's interesting about Klaus, and the reason I think that you may be onto something, is how Klaus has kind of tried to do stuff like that before. Klaus tried to turn everyone into Anachondri. Klaus brought Nauticon back in the erased timeline. Klaus...
And then he ended up controlling the Sky Pirates in the current timeline later.
Yes.
Trying to cover the Temple of Light and Darkness, or whatever the plot was.
Yeah. I think he was wasn't he trying to merge Ninjago with the Dark Island to make it all the Dark Island?
Yeah, that might have been it.
I never fully read the series, or the trilogy, but I know the plot of it. I just never got my hands on the books. I need to read them at some point.
It's possible that Pythor and Klaus could conspire to do something.
Yeah.
It brings back the Overlord.
I think that too. The only reason I wouldn't count Pythor in on that is we've already had a Pythor Overlord season. That's the only reason I doubt it.
No reason to say Pythor wouldn't be loyal to him, because the Overlord clearly promised Pythor something.
Yeah.
In episode 29, he's just like, Pythor's just like, I just want a small favor after you've returned to power. So perhaps Pythor would still be seeking that favor, or still think he can get that.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, maybe Pythor ends up using Klaus to his own ends. Maybe he knows that the Overlord comes back, but Klaus doesn't.
Yeah.
I also think that we could see the Ninjroids return as well.
You know, I was thinking that. I was about to bring up General Cryptor and stuff.
Because I think they could be reactivated. Maybe there's a second copy of General Cryptor that exists somewhere.
Well, Borg does have the white Ninjroids that serve as guards.
Yeah.
Or
but
the sentries.
Also has the regular Ninjroids stored at the vault below Borg Tower, as we saw in season 10.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff down there below Borg Tower that could be used in a season. I mean, there's no telling what he has down there. I mean, he could have...
It's also possible that, there was other Ninjroids that were stored for an eventual use one day. Could be reactivated, maybe not by Pythor, maybe by someone else.
Yeah.
And just used for another cause. There's a lot of different uses for the Ninjroids, and since they're just droids, they can be used for by most villains.
Yeah, that's true. The one other thing I think they could do next year Now, I think it's pretty unlikely because Day of the Departed already happened and it wasn't a huge hit, although I kind of loved it. I think that they could kind of pull a Day of the Departed and bring back a bunch of villains. Maybe Klaus could find a way to resurrect old villains and have them come back for a season. But that's the only other thing I could really think of.
They could pull that card again. It is possible. We saw in season 11, they managed to use Traveler's Tea to access the departed realm.
Yeah.
So it is possible, just very hard to do, very hard to control. But I have no doubt that Klaus, especially if he was in league with Pythor, they would be able to make something like that work.
Oh, I'm sure they could.
Yeah.
You know who else we haven't seen back in a while? Speaking of Pythor, is the Serpentine Generals. I mean, when was the last time we saw Scales?
I mean, we did see Scales in season 11 briefly, and he basically just served as information.
When was he in there?
I think it was episode 10 or 11 of season 11, somewhere around there. And Kai, Jay, and Cole had wandered down to the sewers because they needed information about Asphira.
Oh,
find out
I vaguely remember that.
Who she was and who she was after.
Yeah.
So that's another thing I'm considering. Perhaps Pythor and Klaus, or maybe just one of the two, allies themselves with Asphira, because she's still sitting locked up in Cryptarium.
That's true. You know, there's a lot of people in Cryptarium. Mechanic was there. They could always bring
Mechanic,
someone back.
What remains of the Sons of Garmadon.
Yeah. You got Ultraviolet in there,
and King Vangelis for season 13.
Yeah.
Spoilers for this.
Spoiler alert, guys. Too late.
Yeah. But he's still alive, so perhaps Klaus can use some magic for that too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of different things. A lot more villains in recent seasons have been left alive. I mean, even Vex is out there in the Neverrealm, and it's possible he could be found too.
Vex is one of my favorite villains we've had in a while. I think it's a lot because of just kind of his backstory. I think that they really... Season 11 didn't do that many things right, but I think one thing it really did right was Vex. I think that he was a fairly interesting villain for the second half, unlike Asphira.
I think it'd be also interesting to have him interact with Klaus.
Yeah.
Because both Klaus and Vex have always served other causes.
Yes.
And never been able to take leadership by themselves. Like, Klaus got stuck under Chen, then he got stuck releasing Nauticon, and then he finally gets to lead his own cause eventually.
And he gets stuck in the underworld.
Vex, he wanted to have power, but all he could do was just serve another who did.
Yeah.
And another possibility I thought of for like returning of villains is Garmadon. I don't think he would necessarily return as a villain himself, but perhaps be important to the plot somehow. Like perhaps he could be used, his Oni energy could be used to resurrect the Overlord is a possibility.
Yeah, much like in March of the Oni.
Or for something else. He could be used for it, but I don't think he'd return as a villain. They kind of wrapped up that arc in season 10.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I think that's actually about all the time we have for tonight, guys. So thank you so much for joining us, and thank you again to TitaniumJay52 for being here and talking with me. Both his YouTube and Instagram and all that stuff will be linked down in the description below, so go check him out. I don't remember if I mentioned that earlier, but I'm mentioning it now, so go check him out. Links are blue. They always will be, so just go click on those. And yeah, I'll see you all next time. Have a great day. Have a wonderful week. Zbricks out.